Welcome to our video series on more advanced features of Windows XP. In this video, we'll explore the control panel options for sound and audio devices. Now, let's take a look at sound and audio devices. Here, you can arrange settings for the audio for your computer. It tells you which audio hardware you have, the actual hardware you have on your computer that gives you audio functionality. Often it's part of the motherboard, which is the main board of the computer. But in other cases, you may have the audio hardware as an individual card that's added to your computer. And often these individual cards are dedicated circuit boards for audio functionality. So therefore, they can be more powerful than the audio components on your motherboard or the computer's main circuit board. So it tells you what you have here. In this case, Realtek AC97 audio. Device volume, pretty straightforward. You can change the default volume. You can mute it if you wish. And you can place the volume icon in the taskbar, and here it is. It's pretty useful to have. And if we click on Advanced, this is actually the same as going to the icon here, which I'll come to in just a moment. Speaker volume. You can set up speaker volume differently for left and right speakers if you choose. Advanced. Speaker setup. And you can choose from a number of options here. And then the Performance tab. You can set up hardware acceleration and sample rates. Conversion quality. So full and best should be fine in the first case. And they say you can play around with these to help troubleshoot audio-related problems, but generally you wouldn't need to touch these. Okay, let's cancel that. Okay, the Sounds tab. And here you specify which sounds play in Windows at which times. And you can specify no sounds. Let's say no to that. And here are all the events, program events as they're called, close program, critical stop, and so on. Currently, there's no sound for any of them, but if I change it to Windows Default here, you see that these little icons appear next to these events. And if you click on each event, it tells you what the sound is. So for critical stop, the sound is Windows XP critical stop.wav.wave, which stands for WAV file. So you can play that to see if you're happy with that. But you can fully customize this if you want. Just select any event, and you can just click and choose from a sound here. Or you can browse to choose your own sound if you wish in WAV format. Okay, in the Audio tab, you specify which audio device, is used by your computer to play back. And I just have one device, so I have no choice. And the Volume button just takes you back to this interface, which I'll come to in just a moment. And the Advanced button takes you back to this screen, which we've already seen. Then Sound Recording. I have no choice again, as I just have one audio device, but you can choose between them if you have more than one. And here, click on Volume, and you can specify the input volume. And I'll come to this in just a moment, too, through this icon. Okay, MIDI music playback. I wouldn't say that's particularly relevant so much, but there is a device there, and you can choose that and then specify the volume if you wish. And okay, the Voice tab. Choose the volume again, And once again, you have these buttons of voice recording. Again, choose the device and choose the volume. And you can test the hardware to make sure it's working fine. This is actually useful to do before you start recording, just to make sure everything's working okay. Okay, finally, in the Hardware tab, it just tells you the devices and software and drivers it uses for audio. You generally won't need to deal with this screen, but you may want to look through it. And for each of these, you can click on Properties, and it gives you even more in-depth information. Okay, so let's cancel that, and let's take a quick look at this volume icon. Double-click, and by default, you get this screen. So you can specify volume controls for, okay, this is General, and Wave, and SW Synth, and CD player, and line in. So these are specialized types of audio playback. But generally, just dealing with the audio should be fine. And you can mute all or any of these individually if you wish. And if you go to Option, Properties, here you can specify the, well, they call it the mixer device, the playback device effectively. Again, I have no choice. I have to stick with the Realtek audio. Then adjust volume for playback, and you can choose which of these display in the volume control screen. And there's quite a few of them, as you can see, but they may not all be relevant to your computer. As I mentioned, you'll typically just deal with volume control since that's the main volume control. And if you go to Recording, you can specify which options display for the recording volume control screen. And let's just leave these as defaults. Generally, I would say the most important one is microphone. So here's the recording control screen, and you see CD player and line in, they're both pretty much at 0, and microphone is at maximum, and I've selected that. I've selected the microphone as the audio input device. That's important because it's telling Windows that this is where audio is coming in through. Otherwise, you won't be able to record audio, of course, because it wouldn't know where to record audio from. And you can click on Advanced. And you may have similar or slightly different options, but as you see here, it shows me bass and treble options, but I'm not able to change them. But what I do have is the mic boost option, which increases or boosts the microphone input volume considerably. So if you're recording, and it's being recorded very softly, you may want to try increasing the mic boost if you have such an option.